Why am I not in frame? Okay, how's that? Lighting's a bit weird, but let's roll with it. Hi, my name's Cara and welcome to a new video. Today we're going through my August TBR, and I kind of had a plan to do a like all new release August, which sounds great. And then I ended up with a couple of things which I won't even talk about today because I want to just feel like it's all new release August, but I ended up with a couple of things that I'm going to be reading that aren't new releases, but it's like a handful of tiny things. So it's basically all new release August. So I really wanted to, and by new release I mean 2020 releases, so some of these did come out earlier in the year, but I kind of wanted a chance to get on top of a lot of the things that I've been buying throughout the year, and kind of bring that stack down a little. So because it's the only stack that's growing really, or in any substantial way. So these are all 2020 releases that I'm not going to get to all of these. I'm going to talk about the ones that I'm going to be prioritizing first, and then a big stack of potential continuances, if you will. I don't think I'll get to all of them, but I'll just kind of mood read through them once I've read my priority ones, if that makes sense. So let's start with those. The first one is The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. This is a young adult sci-fi. Alicia Dow is also a black author, I think based in Britain. And this follows a girl who the world is like overrun by aliens, and the aliens thought that music and books and movies and stuff would like save the human race. They'd be able to band together with it, so they completely outlawed all of it, but she keeps a secret library, and the alien boy she's kind of having a romance with is obsessed with pop music, but is like trying to keep it under wraps. I don't really like, on one side I think this is something that's totally cheesy, but then on the other side I'm kind of obsessed. Also, this cover is gorgeous. There is an audiobook available for this on Scribd, so I'll probably listen to this one, and I think because it sounds vaguely contemporary in its themes despite being sci-fi, that this could work really well on audiobook. Next up we have A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow, and who's also a black author. If you were looking for black author-ex, there's two right there off the bat for you. This is a siren story, but set in like it's kind of more like a fabulism kind of element. And it's set in Portland, Oregon, but then there's sirens, which is kind of like reflecting on the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, and police brutality and things. So I'm really excited to read this as well. It's really short, and again there's an audiobook available on Scribd, so I'll probably listen to it rather than reading with my eyes. But again, I love this cover. We have Network Effect by Martha Wells, which is the 5th Murderbot installment, the first like novel size installment. And I'm pretty sure the 6th installment is going to be a novella again, so I don't know how many chunky ones there's going to be. It's not even too chunky, it's only like 350 pages. I love Murderbot. These are space opera sci-fi, and Murderbot is a security unit that has hacked its own system and doesn't want to kill people, just wants to spend its time watching dramas. And I love it, and I can't wait to continue this series, so I'm definitely keen to dive into this as soon as possible. Another one I'll probably end up listening to on audiobook because I know it's available is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This is a historical fantasy following the sister of Mozart, and a world they like imagined together. I am fascinated by this. I love this cover, and I am really keen to see what it's like. I haven't heard much about it. I heard a lot of hype before it came out, but I haven't heard many reviews, so I'm curious. We have Queen of Coin and Whispers by Helen Corcoran. This is a sapphic fantasy. There's a queen and a spy master, murdered parents. I don't know, I love all that kind of stuff. So this has a whole heap of buzzwords for me, and I'm really excited to see how this goes. I also love this cover. Some great covers this year. I also really want to get to The Mercies by Karen Millwood Hargrave. This is a historical fiction about a remote Norwegian island where all the men die, And then so now it's only run by women, but a monk, I think, gets sent out to try and like control the women, and it's kind of a witch trial scenario. I think Kieran Millward-Hargrave writes amazing historical fiction, and I'm really like really well researched. I'm really excited to try this. It's only what, 330 pages? I think we could fly through this pretty fast. I think there's also an audiobook available for this, but I think I might read it with my eyes. I think I'll absorb the historical setting a bit better that way. Then we have High Fire by Ian Colfer. I love Ian Colfer's middle grade series Artemis Fowl, which I feel like anyone who reads it does. It's so good. And this is an adult fantasy, and it's a dragon that like is sassy, living in the Louisiana swamp. I honestly really don't know like the plot of this, but it's like mixed magic modern day, I believe. And I am fascinated by the idea of this. I don't know what I'm gonna think about it, but I really like Ian Colfer, and I'm really excited to see how this goes. I think it's a standalone, and I do really love his standalones. Like, I love the Half Moon Files, Half Moon Mysteries. Is that what it's called? Half Moon Investigations, which is one of my favorite of his. It's just so funny. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. Like, funny, sassy, drunk dragons. Sign me up. Then we have My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is a dark adult contemporary, I guess you could say. I think it's kind of described as a thriller, but everyone who I've heard talk to me about it doesn't say thriller. It's about a girl who's now like in her she's in her 30s, and she'd had a relationship when she was 15 with her English teacher, and she always thought it was like love and romantic, and now that she's in her 30s and he has been accused of abuse by a former student, she's kind of reassessing and reevaluating that relationship and how that developed. And apparently this is really gonna fuck you up, but I'm really excited to read it as well. Like, I'm excited to be heard, so we'll see. We also have Again by E. Lockhart. This is a standalone I want to say contemporary, but with weird elements, which is kind of what E. Lockhart's famous for. I think this has a alternate universe kind of scenario. And I really love basically everything I've read from E. Lockhart. I really enjoyed, so I'm definitely keen to check this out. And it's pretty short, so I think it'll go past fast. It's like less than 300 pages, I think. Yeah. And it's also got interesting format, which we know I'm a sucker for, so I'm hopeful to fly through this as well. We also have I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick, which will be in my next book haul. If you haven't seen this one yet. This just came out. It's a thriller. It has these beautiful sprayed edges. I don't even know that much about what this is about, but I bought it for personal reasons, which I won't explain, but it's just, it's a young adult thriller. I always like really want to love young adult thrillers, and this has, it's New Year's Eve, girls that look similar, and then Zoe dies, and they're trying to figure out who did it. There's also a podcast in here. We love that. I might read along with the audiobook because I think there is one. So I might read along with that, because especially with the podcast element, like we all love Sadie. Maybe this is really good on audiobook too, so we might check that out. And finally, for the things I'm definitely getting to, is Take a Hit, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the sequel to Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it's following obviously her sister Dani and her potential love interest is Zafia, and they're like fake dating, enemies to lovers. I don't know, I'm really excited for this. Dani's like the adventurous sister, and I'm really keen. Also, Talia Hibbert just writes really great romances, so we're excited. So now here's a bunch more other things that I will consider. I'll kind of go through them pretty quickly, I think. We won't linger too long on these ones. So we have Once Upon an Eid by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed, which is a anthology of Muslim stories. And I'm really, really excited about it. I think it's middle grade technically. And I'm incredibly excited. I almost certainly will get to this, I think. I think I'm gonna try and read like a couple of stories a day for the first couple of weeks. And then in the next couple of weeks, work on Out Now by Sandra Mitchell, which is queer stories. And again, they're both anthologies, so I think I'll just like work on them throughout the month. They're both from the library too, so I do want to get to them sooner rather than later so I can send them back. Another library book I'd like to get to is Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This Rebecca Roanhorse is a Black Native American. I think she's Navajo, and this is a Navajo story, and it's what am I trying to say? It's a Rick Riordan Presents installment, and I think the first like not in the series that came out this year, so I'm really excited to read this. We also have Be Not Far From Me by Mindy McGuinness, which is another young adult thriller, horror thriller. It's like a Lost in the Woods kind of thriller. The Glass Magician by Caroline Stevermer, which is a magic-y, like stage magic fantasy. Also, I love this cover. It's got a skull with the swan. So good. And The June Boys, which is another young adult thriller. Why have there been so many good young adult thrillers catching my eye this year? This I'm scared about because I've had really bad reviews, but also some of the things that people said they really struggled with, they also actively talked about in their reviews. So I'm hoping that coming in with that information will make it easier for me to read, hopefully. So I'm excited about this as well. This has like stolen boys that then get returned. We have The Unadoptables by Hannah Took. This is a middle grade set in the 1800s. Oh my god, one of the babies is called Egg. 5 amazing children, one most unordinary adventure. We love it. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, another middle grade, this more mystery, but also with mixed media elements, and I'm really excited about it. A Queen in Hiding, this is a young adult fantasy. It got released like all 4 books a month after each other. This one came out at the end of January, I think. And I'm really interested to read it. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. I haven't heard many people talking about it. I love these covers, and I think I need to read it and see, finally. We also have The Vanishing Deep by Astrid Schultz. This is her second book, and it's set in the oceans, and there's like memory elements. It's a fast-paced mystery. I think they're trying to figure out who murdered their parents. I don't know, I'm curious. I didn't love her first book, but I liked it, so I'm interested to see where it goes. Okay, next up we have Don't Call the Wolf by Alexandra Ross, which is a dragon fantasy. It's pretty chunky, but I love this cover. And I don't honestly know that much about it other than that, but I'm excited. Mermaid Moon by Susan Kokol. This is, I read her first novel, which was The Kingdom of Little Wounds, and I fucking loved it when I was like 19. And this is her second book, or second YA book, I think. And it's got beautiful green sprayed edges. I think it might be sapphic, and that's under the dust jacket. Like, how fucking pretty is this book? Kingdom of Little Wounds was also a beautifully designed book. We also have This Coven Won't Break by Isabel Sterling, which is the sequel to, what's it called? These Witches Don't Burn, which I read and loved. And it's only a duology, so I'm really excited to complete and finish this. So hopefully we can maybe get to this month. I also want to get to Empire of Gold, which is the finale in the Daevabad trilogy. I'm gonna read and listen along to this one, so I think I'm probably gonna get to this one. This and one other that I will probably read and listen along to, so it would happen over like a weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we will see what happens. We also have Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova, which is a historical fantasy witchy thing. Oh yeah, she lives 100 stolen lives and now I live my own, which is the like keywords that got me. That's the kind of like things we freaking love. It's also set in Spain. We have Darling Rose Gold by Stephanie Roble, which is spinning off, I know people talk about it all the time and it gets rehashed in media quite a bit, but the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case of Munchausen's by proxy. I know there was a recent like biopic about it as well, and this is if like a thriller if the mother went to jail instead of dying in the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and then she goes to prison, and when she gets out the daughter takes her in, but for revenge. Yeah. Talking about that other one I will probably read along while listening to the audiobook for is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I need to get this off my TBR ASAP, regardless of if I love or hate it. Otherwise I'm just going to be intimidated by it forever. So again, I think I will try and prioritize this. Another one that the audiobook is available, so I might do the same thing, is Lady Hotspur by Tessa Grattan. Again, these are big chunky books that I feel like having an audiobook will help push me through. So this is like a kind of sequel to Queens of Innis Lear, which was a Macbeth retelling. This one is like a King Henry IV retelling, and I think it's set in the same world, but in a totally different time period. I think I might also, one of the books I'm going to try and read as well is the actual Shakespeare play, probably before this, so we kind of have the context for it. Like I was aware of the context of Macbeth even though I hadn't read it, but I know nothing about King Henry IV. So I'm going to read King Henry IV Part 1 and see how I feel. And then finally we have The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I'm so excited for this. It just hasn't happened yet. This is a urban fantasy if New York City had like keepers that like controlled the hearts. I don't know, but N.K. Jemisin hasn't written a single bad thing that I'm aware of. Nothing I've read from her has been bad, and I'm excited to read everything she's ever written. So this is on my priority list. So those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of August. I mean, I'm not going to read all of them, but everything is like high up on my priority. So we'll see what actually gets read. Keep an eye out for my wrap-ups for July, and my wrap-up on my haul for July, and also you'll see what ones I end up reading in my August wrap-up. I'm also planning on vlogging a lot of these. I think I'll do quite a few like 5 recent releases vlogs and just kind of go that way, but we'll see how it ends up. So keep an ear out, an eye out for some vlogs, and otherwise I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!